Life doesn't reward the weak, it crushes them. If you don't build strength mentally, physically, and emotionally, you will be nothing. Not because the world is cruel, but because it simply does not care. Friedrich Nietzsche and the Stoics understood this brutal reality. They didn't see strength as an option, they saw it as the only path to survival, dominance, and self-mastery. Most people today are trapped in weakness, not because they have to be, but because they choose to be. They hide behind excuses, play the victim, and cling to false morality to justify their failures. Nietzsche called this slave morality, a system designed by the weak to make themselves feel superior while resenting those who rise above. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches that power comes from radical self-discipline and control. The common thread? If you don't take control of your life, someone else will. If you don't become strong, you will be dominated by people, by circumstances, by your own emotions. Strength isn't just about physical power. It's about mental resilience, emotional control, and the ability to dictate your own reality. Nietzsche's Übermensch doesn't wait for permission to exist. He forges his own path, creates his own values, and refuses to be a slave to weakness. The Stoics didn't complain about hardship. They welcomed it as the ultimate test of character. Both philosophies reject the idea that life is fair or that anyone is coming to save you. The only thing you can rely on is your own will. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you aren't actively becoming stronger, you are slowly becoming irrelevant. If you aren't pushing past your limits, you are falling behind. If you don't take control of your mind, your emotions, and your discipline, you will never be free. The world doesn't owe you a damn thing. You either rise or you disappear. Be strong or be nothing. In this video, we'll break down the brutal truths behind Nietzsche's philosophy and Stoicism, revealing how you can cultivate true strength in a world that rewards only the powerful. If you're ready to hear the truth, subscribe to Victory Stoic and drop a comment below. Are you living strong or are you just surviving? Now let's begin. Number 1. Weakness and slave morality. The illusion that keeps you powerless. Weakness isn't just an unfortunate condition, it's a mindset, a system of beliefs designed to keep you from reaching your full potential. Nietzsche believed that traditional morality, what most people consider good, is not based on objective truth but on submission, fear, and self-deception. He argued that many of the values society upholds today, humility, obedience, self-sacrifice, were not created to elevate individuals but to keep them weak and manageable. This is what he called slave morality. The origin of slave morality, a system built by the weak to control the strong. Imagine two types of people, those who fight for dominance and those who submit to it. The first group, the strong, the ambitious, the independent, live by what Nietzsche called master morality. They value strength, courage, and self-determination. They do not wait for permission. They create their own rules and they define their own success. The second group, the weak, the fearful, the resentful, cannot compete with the strong, so they find another way to win. They redefine morality itself. They declare that strength is cruel, that ambition is selfish, and that power is evil. Instead of admitting their own inability to rise, they convince the world that it is better to be weak, humble, and submissive. They glorify suffering and shame those who seek greatness. This psychological reversal is the foundation of slave morality. How slave morality keeps you weak. Slave morality does not encourage growth. It teaches you to accept your limitations rather than overcome them. It tells you that success is corrupt, that confidence is arrogance, and that standing up for yourself is aggression. Most dangerously, it convinces you that being powerless is a virtue. It replaces ambition with guilt, self-improvement with self-pity, and action with endless excuses. This is why many people resent success rather than learn from it. Take, for example, a man who has failed in business. Instead of studying those who succeeded, taking responsibility, and working harder, he chooses resentment. He convinces himself that the wealthy are greedy, that the system is rigged, and that success is only possible through corruption. Rather than admitting his own shortcomings, he creates a belief system that justifies his failure. The same pattern exists in every aspect of life. Weak men criticize strong men, not because they truly believe strength is bad, but because it reminds them of their own mediocrity. People who lack discipline mock those who wake up early, train hard, and improve themselves. Those who are too afraid to take risks call ambitious people obsessed or lucky. Slave morality thrives on one thing: convincing people that their failures are not their fault. Stoicism and the rejection of slave morality. Stoicism, like Nietzsche's philosophy, rejects the idea that suffering is a virtue. The Stoics believed that life is hard, but the solution is not submission, it is self-mastery. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, did not complain about his condition. He did not create a belief system that glorified victimhood. Instead, he focused on what he could control: his mind, his actions, his discipline. He chose strength over excuses. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the fundamental difference between a Stoic and a follower of slave morality. A Stoic does not complain about the world, he conquers himself first. Breaking free from the slave mentality. The first step to overcoming slave morality is recognizing when you are falling into its trap. Are you making excuses for why you are not where you want to be? Are you resenting the success of others instead of learning from them? Are you clinging to beliefs that justify your comfort rather than challenge you to grow? These are all signs that you have been conditioned by slave morality. Second, stop seeking validation from the weak. Many people try to justify their ambition, strength, or independence by waiting for society's approval. But if you are waiting for weak people to approve of your strength, you will be waiting forever. Master morality does not ask for permission. It does not shrink itself to make others comfortable. It stands tall, even when the world tries to tear it down. Third, take full responsibility for your life. Slave morality teaches that external forces control your fate. Master morality teaches that you are responsible for your own success or failure. It does not matter where you started, what disadvantages you had, or who wronged you. The only thing that matters is whether you will rise above it. The harsh reality: be strong or be forgotten. Nietzsche believed that the strong do not need the approval of the weak, but the weak need the strong to feel guilty about their strength. This is why successful people are constantly told they should feel bad for their ambition, why strong leaders are labeled as oppressive, and why society pushes the idea that being ordinary is good enough. But the truth is, no one remembers those who played it safe, who accepted their fate, who stayed within the limits society set for them. History only remembers those who had the strength to rise above mediocrity. The choice is simple. You can live by the rules of the weak, justifying your failures, hiding from discomfort, and resenting those who achieve more. Or you can embrace strength by rejecting victimhood, taking ownership of your life, and becoming the kind of person who shapes the world rather than being shaped by it. So the question is, will you live as a master of your fate, or will you remain trapped in the morality of slaves? Number 2, why the weak hate the strong. The psychology of resentment. Strength exposes weakness. Success exposes failure. Excellence exposes mediocrity. This is why weak people hate the strong, why the poor resent the rich, and why the incompetent despise those who excel. It's not because the strong, the rich, or the skilled have wronged them. It's because their very existence is a reminder that they could have done more but chose not to. Nietzsche called this resentment, a deep, bitter resentment that grows within those who feel powerless. Instead of taking responsibility for their situation, they blame external forces. They convince themselves that the system is unfair, that the strong are oppressors, that the rich are greedy, and that those who are more skilled must have had an advantage. Rather than striving for greatness, they seek to pull others down. The psychology of resentment. Why weak people despise strength. Imagine a man who has spent years making excuses for why he's out of shape. He claims that he's just too busy to work out, that genetics make it impossible for him to lose weight, that people who prioritize fitness are vain or obsessed. Then one day, he meets someone his age, with a similar background, who is in peak physical condition. This destroys his illusion. He can no longer pretend that success was impossible. The proof is standing right in front of him. At this moment, he has two choices: admire and learn, or resent and attack. A strong man would see this and feel inspired, asking, "How did you do it?" But the weak man chooses resentment. He scoffs, mutters something about steroids or having too much free time, and convinces himself that fitness is meaningless. He does this not because he truly believes it, but because the alternative, admitting that he could have done better but didn't, is too painful. This pattern repeats everywhere. The lazy resent the disciplined, the poor resent the rich, the untalented resent the skilled. People don't just dislike those who are better than them, they actively try to tear them down to avoid facing their own inadequacy. Nietzsche versus Stoicism. Two perspectives on resentment. Nietzsche saw resentment as one of the most corrosive forces in human nature. He argued that when the weak cannot rise to the level of the strong, they try to invert morality itself. They convince themselves and others that strength is cruelty, wealth is corruption, ambition is greed. Instead of accepting that they are responsible for their own failures, they claim that the strong must have cheated, the rich must have exploited, and the talented must have been lucky. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches that resentment is simply wasted energy. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." A Stoic understands that resentment achieves nothing. It doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't improve your circumstances, and it doesn't bring justice. The only rational response to seeing someone more successful than you is to either learn from them or ignore them entirely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This is what separates the strong from the weak. A weak man is controlled by his emotions, jealousy, anger, and bitterness. A strong man is too focused on his own growth to care about what others have. How the weak try to destroy the strong. Since weak people cannot compete with the strong on equal terms, they resort to other tactics. 1. Attacking the strong's character. Instead of acknowledging skill, discipline, or intelligence, they label successful people as arrogant, selfish, or corrupt. They don't need proof, they just need to create doubt. 2. Shaming ambition. They push narratives like money doesn't buy happiness, success isn't everything, or work-life balance is more important. These ideas are designed not to help others, but to justify their own lack of success. 3. Glorifying victimhood. Instead of rewarding strength, modern society often celebrates weakness. People are encouraged to identify as victims, blame external forces, and seek sympathy rather than solutions. 4. Weaponizing guilt. Weak people try to make the strong feel bad for their success, pushing the idea that they must give back or check their privilege. They do this not because they truly want justice, but because they want to see the strong brought down to their level. How to deal with resentment, the Stoic way. So, what should you do when faced with resentment from others? 1. Never apologize for being strong. Weak people want you to feel guilty for your success because it makes them feel better about their failure. Do not play their game. 2. Ignore the opinions of the weak. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Their resentment only has power if you acknowledge it. 3. Use resentment as proof that you are doing something right. If no one resents you, it probably means you haven't done anything worth noticing. Haters are a sign of success. 4. Surround yourself with other strong people. Do not waste time trying to change the weak. Find people who push you forward, not those who try to hold you back. The harsh truth. The weak will always hate the strong. There will always be people who despise strength because it reminds them of their own weakness. There will always be those who resent success because it exposes their lack of effort. There will always be those who attack discipline because it highlights their laziness. But their opinions do not matter. Their resentment does not matter. Their failure is not your concern. Nietzsche and the Stoics both agree. The strong do not look down, they look forward. The moment you allow the weak to dictate your actions, you have already lost. So the question is, are you going to waste energy worrying about the opinions of those who refuse to improve? Or will you rise above, leave them behind, and continue building the life they will forever resent? Number 3. Why the weak always blame others. The psychology of victimhood. Blame is the language of the weak. When people fail, they have two options: take responsibility and change, or shift the blame onto something else. society, bad luck, unfair systems, or even the people who succeed. The first path is hard, the second is easy. That's why most people choose it. Nietzsche believed that society actively encourages this mindset. Instead of pushing individuals to be stronger, smarter, or more resilient, modern culture glorifies suffering. Self-pity is rewarded, accountability is avoided, and victimhood is treated as a virtue rather than a condition to escape from. Instead of looking at the successful and asking, how did they do it? The weak say, they must have had it easier than me. The American dream and the culture of excuses. Take the example of two men, both born into struggling working-class families in America. They grow up with the same obstacles: low-income neighborhoods, poor schools, and families that never taught them about financial literacy. Both start their adult lives at the same disadvantage, but their choices take them down very different paths. Jason refuses to take responsibility. He sees wealthy people and assumes they were just lucky. When he struggles to find a good job, he blames the economy. When he wastes money on instant gratification, he blames capitalism for making things expensive. When he sees others succeed, he convinces himself that they had connections, privilege, or advantages that he never had. He spends his free time complaining about unfairness rather than looking for ways to improve. Over the years, his resentment grows and his circumstances never change. Michael, on the other hand, refuses to be a victim. He accepts that life isn't fair, but instead of resenting it, he adapts. He studies personal finance, learns high-income skills, and surrounds himself with people who push him forward. When things go wrong, he doesn't blame external forces. He asks himself, what can I do differently? While Jason spends his nights watching TV and ranting on social media about injustice, Michael spends his nights building something for himself. 10 years later, Jason is still in the same place, but now he's angrier and more bitter. Michael, despite starting from the same position, has built a life of success. What's the difference? Michael understood that blame is a dead end, while Jason chose to hide behind excuses. The Stoic view: control what you can, ignore the rest. Stoicism teaches that focusing on what you can't control is a waste of time. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A Stoic never blames the economy, the government, or external circumstances. He only asks, what can I do about it? This is why the strong rise while the weak stay trapped. One adapts, the other complains. The psychological trap of victimhood. Psychologists have studied the victim mentality and found that those who blame external forces for their failures are less likely to take action, less likely to set goals, and less likely to achieve anything significant. Why? Because blaming others gives them a false sense of relief. If your problems are caused by the system, then you don't have to change. If success is all about privilege, then hard work is pointless. It's comforting, but it's a lie. This is why Nietzsche despised slave morality. He believed that the weak use morality as an excuse for inaction. They glorify suffering instead of escaping it. They reject ambition and call it greed. They see struggle as an identity rather than a phase to overcome. The more they blame others, the more powerless they become, breaking free from the blame mentality. The first step to escaping this mindset is to recognize when you're making excuses. Are you blaming external factors for where you are in life? Are you resenting those who succeed instead of learning from them? Are you waiting for the world to change instead of changing yourself? These are signs that you've fallen into the blame trap. Second, stop seeking validation from other victims. Weak people gather in groups to reinforce their excuses. They tell each other that success is impossible, that the system is unfair, that there's no point in trying. A Stoic does not surround himself with the weak. He aligns himself with the strong. Third, focus only on what you can control. If something is outside of your control, it is not your problem. A true Stoic, like Nietzsche's Übermensch, doesn't complain about life. He bends it to his will. The harsh truth: no one cares about your excuses. The world does not reward excuses. It does not care about your complaints. It only cares about results. If you are weak, you will stay weak until you decide to change. If you are failing, no one will fix it for you. Blame is the tool of the powerless. Action is the weapon of the strong. So the question is, are you making excuses or are you taking control? Number 4. The weak don't fight, they twist you instead. Power isn't always snatched with fists or grit. Sometimes it's swiped through shadows, a slick game of words and guilt. Nietzsche saw it clear. Those too frail to climb by might or merit don't build themselves up. They drag the strong down, wielding tricks, shame, and sanctimonious jabs to level the field. They don't sharpen their own edges. They dull yours, spinning tales where they're the wronged and you're the beast. Psychology calls this triangulation, a sly dance to knot you up in doubt or duty, bending you against your own grain. Picture Sarah, a star at her small bakery gig. She's quick, creative, pulls long shifts, and her cakes sell out before noon. Her coworker Mike can't keep up. His icing's sloppy, his timing's off, but instead of grinding to match her, he turns the screws. He starts whispering to the crew. Sarah's too intense, always hogging the spotlight. He plays up his own fumbles like badges of humility, sighs loudly about her perfectionism to the boss, plants seeds that she's cold, pushy, a tryhard. Soon, Sarah's second-guessing her hustle, softening her stride, wondering if she's the problem, all while Mike smirks, coasting on her hesitation. That's the weak at work. They can't outshine, so they undermine. Nietzsche warned of this on a bigger stage, calling it slave morality. The powerless flipping the script, branding strength as tyranny, drive as greed, triumph as sin, all to shackle the capable with guilt for simply being. Today you see it everywhere. Folks who won't steer their own ship sneer at those who do, dubbing success luck instead of sweat, trashing discipline as obsession while they slump, convincing themselves ambition's a stain, not because it's true, but because it keeps them comfy in their rut. Stoicism cuts through that noise. Marcus Aurelius didn't mince words. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. No groveling, no apologies for standing tall. Live it, let the chips fall. Epictetus, who knew chains firsthand, hammered it home. Others' gripes and feelings aren't your load, your deeds are. A Stoic doesn't bicker with finger pointers, he stacks results and lets them roar. To shield yourself, spot the guilt trip for the leash it is. Someone shaming your fires just flexing their own flop. If you wouldn't blink at being less, their game's got you snared, so shake it off. Don't feed their sob stories. When they hiss at your guts or gains, nod and keep moving, no fuel for their fire. Stick with the rare breed who cheer the climb, not the ones spooked by it. Manipulators feast on mushy minds, but builders spark steel. The raw deal? If you're strong, you're a mark. Always will be. They'll claw at you not because you're wrong, but because they're stuck, recycling the same old ploys to trip you into doubt so they can skip facing their own mirror. A man who's nailed his own worth, though? He's untouchable. Approval's not his drug, winning's not his confession, and the weak's whining doesn't redraw his map. So what's it for you? Folding under their tug or rising sharp, knowing the scared will always nip at your heels? Number 5. Discipline. Forges the iron core. Without it, you're dust in the wind. Strength isn't a gift dropped in your lap at birth. It's hammered out, blow by blow, through discipline, the raw ore that turns a man into something unbreakable. Without it, talent's just a shiny trinket, potential's a whisper in the dark, and ambition's a daydream that never wakes up. Let your reins slip, and you're not steering. Your cravings, your panic, your moods, or some sharper soul will yank the wheel instead. Nietzsche and the Stoics saw it plain. Master yourself, or you're a shadow, weak and drifting. Nietzsche's will to power wasn't about stomping over others. It was about wrestling your own chaos into line, bending your will until it's a blade. People get it twisted, thinking strength is loud boots on someone else's neck. But the real titans, warriors who carved empires, thinkers who shifted ages, didn't bow to every itch or whim. They own their minds, their flesh, their time. Weakness hates that mirror. Take Tom, a guy I knew. He'd scoff at my 6 a.m. runs, sprawled on his couch, thumbs scrolling TikTok till noon, beer cans piling up. He'd roll his eyes at my plate of chicken and greens, bragging about his live-a-little burgers, but his gut grew, his energy tanked, and his gripes got louder. He didn't hate my discipline. He hated what it showed him. His slump was his own doing. The Stoics nailed it tighter. Epictetus, chained as a slave yet freer than kings, wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Hunger gnawed, fear loomed, pleasure beckoned. He didn't flinch. He picked his path and walked it, thorns and all. Marcus Aurelius, perched atop Rome's throne, could have drowned in wine and feasts, but his meditations bleed focus. Stay sharp, ditch the noise, do the hard thing. Greatness isn't a cozy nap, it's a vow kept when every fiber screams quit. Look at any titan, Olympians, moguls, sages. They're wired to routines that break most. They don't wait for the mood, they move on principle, not impulse. Today's world flips that script, peddling treat yourself like a virtue, urging you to hug your feelings, dodge the grind. Indulgence is king, scroll till your eyes blur, eat till you sag, chase the quick hit. The fallout's grim. Minds fogged with doubt, bodies crumbling, lives looping in the same rut. Weakness gets a trophy, discipline's the punchline. Ever notice how folks mock the guy sweating at dawn but shrug at the one binging Netflix? They'll rag on a lean frame but cheer self-love as health fades. They envy the sharp, the rich, the driven, then skip the sweat to get there. Discipline asks, and they'd rather sleep. Without it, you're a ship with no rudder. Dreams sink, potential rots, your body softens, your head's a mess of what-ifs, and years blur into a rerun of nothing. It's not fate's fault, it's the missing spine. Tom's still there. Same couch, same gripes, same spiral. Not cursed, just unchecked. Build the steel instead. Act when you'd rather stall. Moods fade, winds stick, and the ugliest hours your forge. Axe the junk. Weak souls drown in feeds and screens. A stoic cuts what doesn't build. Aim high. Mediocrity's a trap. Push past the line others draw, or you'll land lower still. Rule your frame. Rule your thoughts. Lift, eat right, rest deep. Let one slip, and both crack. Don't beg for claps. Crowds'll jeer your grit. Let the scoreboard shout back. Discipline splits the shapers from the ghosts. No control, no shot. You're just waiting to fade. So are you forging, or just falling? Number 7. If no one hates you, you probably haven't done anything that matters. Weak people crave approval. They live in fear of offending, of being criticized, of standing out too much. But the reality is, if you're not being criticized, if no one is resenting you, if no one is trying to pull you down, it means you haven't done anything significant enough to be noticed. Nietzsche understood this truth. He believed that the masses resent those who rise above them, and if no one is pushing against you, it's likely because you're not pushing forward. Every great figure in history has been hated. Socrates was sentenced to death for challenging the status quo. Jesus was crucified because his teachings disrupted the powerful. Galileo was condemned for proving the earth revolved around the sun. Even today, the most successful people, CEOs, athletes, entrepreneurs, are constantly attacked by those who cannot achieve what they have. The weak don't just envy success, they despise it because it forces them to confront their own failures. Stoicism teaches that the opinion of the crowd is irrelevant. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." A Stoic does not seek approval because he knows it is meaningless. He does what must be done, regardless of praise or criticism. He understands that if you live for the opinions of others, you are already their slave. Psychology confirms this. Studies show that highly successful individuals are often disliked, not because they have done anything wrong, but because their presence makes others feel inadequate. When you excel, when you rise, when you achieve more than the average person, you become a reminder of what they could have been, but chose not to be. Instead of taking inspiration, they choose resentment. Look at your own life. If everyone likes you, if no one criticizes you, if no one feels threatened by you, it's a sign that you're staying too safe. People only attack what stands out. If you're being hated, mocked, or envied, it means you're doing something right. Weak people are comfortable. Strong people disturb them. So the next time someone resents you for your success, take it as a compliment. It means you've left them behind. Number 8. Nietzsche believed only the strong have the right to define their own value. If you don't fight, you will be forgotten. The world does not care about what you think you deserve. It does not care about your dreams, your opinions, or your self-image. Nietzsche believed that only the strong, those who take action, who impose their will on reality, have the right to determine their own worth. Everyone else is at the mercy of those who do. If you do not fight for your place in this world, you will not be remembered. You will be replaced, ignored, forgotten. Look at history. The names we remember are those who refuse to be passive. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon instead of waiting for permission. Napoleon rewrote the rules of war instead of following tradition. Alexander the Great took an empire before the age of 30. None of these men asked, "What will people think?" They took what they believed was theirs and forced the world to acknowledge them. Meanwhile, how many countless men lived and died without ever being noticed? Stoicism teaches that your actions define you, not your words, not your feelings, not your intentions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." If you refuse to act, if you let fear hold you back, if you wait for approval before making your move, you have already lost. The world does not recognize those who hesitate. Modern psychology calls this agency, the ability to take control of your life instead of waiting for external forces to shape it. Those who lack agency spend their lives hoping things will get better. They wait for the right moment, for luck to intervene, for someone else to give them a break. They die waiting. The strong, however, create their own opportunities. They understand that the right moment never comes, it must be made. If you do not fight, if you do not impose yourself on the world, if you do not claim what you want, you will be nothing. You will fade into the background while stronger men take the life you wished you had. There is no middle ground. You either carve your place in this world, or you become invisible. The choice is yours. Conclusion: be strong or be nothing. Nietzsche and Stoicism do not offer a third option. You either become strong or you are erased. The world does not care about your potential, your excuses, or your dreams, unless you are strong enough to make it care. Those who wait for permission, who hope for fairness, who avoid discomfort will be forgotten, replaced, and left behind. Strength is not just physical or intellectual. It is the ability to impose your will on reality, to dictate your own value, and to refuse to live by the standards of the weak. Freedom, happiness, and meaning do not come to those who wish for them. They are won by those who have the discipline to claim them. The question is not whether life is fair. The question is whether you are strong enough to rise above it. The weak wait, complain, and disappear. The strong endure, adapt, and dominate. Are you truly living, or are you merely surviving in the comfort of weakness? If this resonated with you, take action now. Subscribe to Victory Stoic, leave a comment below, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Strength is not found in theory, it is built through action. What will you do today to prove you are not just another forgotten name?